Hello everyone, this is Jenny with Absolutely Handmade. This week we've got a pretty cool project. We're going to upcycle a thrift find that I found at my local thrift shop. This is your typical everyday bread box. We're going to clean it with simple green, scrub it down, get all of those kitchen greasy residues off of it, wipe it down real good. And then I'm going to give you a tip right here. These stinking stickers, which that one says $14. I did not pay $14 for this thing. Scratch and scratch and scratch and scratch and scratch. And eventually they come off. Goodwill stickers seem to be worse. These from Desiree Industries tend to come off pretty easily. But you're just going to squirt some regular old hand sanitizer. That stuff you've got stockpiled from the pandemic. Yeah, squirt that on there. And when you wipe it off, it is going to clean that surface off. There's no residue left over from any kind of oil or anything. And here I'm just wiping down again with that water wipe. I like to make sure that simple green didn't leave any kind of residue either. Even though it is a cleaner, sometimes it can leave kind of a slick feeling afterwards. Taking off the hardware because we're going to paint this out. And we definitely don't want paint on there. This is the Fusion Champness paint. It's gorgeous. There's the Paint Couture's Premium 2-in-1 Bonding and Blocking Primer. We're going to start with that. Paint inside, outside. Every bit of this bread box is going to get painted with that primer. And here y'all can see I'm trying to take that hardware off or that knob off from the outside. I unscrewed it from the inside. That sucker was just not going anywhere. I actually kind of hurt my hand trying to get it off of there. So gave up. Plan B, we'll work around it. Again, with the primer, we're just going to make sure everything's good and coated. I was a little worried because I know in kitchens a lot of times there's grease from cooking, stuff like that. So we want to make sure it's good and coated. This is back to that Fusion Champness. Fusion paints are the all-in-one paints. They are highly pigmented. Usually only takes, they say 1 to 2 coats. I always say 2. I'm a 2-coat person on just about any kind of paint. I like my paint to be super opaque. But the Fusion paint has the primer, the paint, and the top coat built in. And the Fusion top coat is rated for exterior and interior. So you can use this literally on your front door. You can use it on planters that you're going to put outside. It works on all of that. And it'll last for years. So we're going to go ahead and paint this box out with that Champness color. Then we're going to go back with Rose Water, which is this gorgeous color that's kind of a medium pink in between Peony, which is like a really pale pink, or they also have an English Rose or English something. It's an older color that I think has been discontinued. But it's in between Peony and Damask. Damask is like a really dark mauve. And this one almost looks like it's kind of a mixture. You guys, I'm anal about my lines. I like them to be super crisp. So I went back and made sure the lines were straight. And then this is the IOD stamp pad. And this is the IOD white mixing ink. And if you guys have been on the channel for any length of time, you did see my awful white ink fail a couple months ago. I don't even remember the brand because honestly I was just like, never again. I'm either going to use IOD or I'm going to use archival inks. Those are the two that I've had the best luck with. We're going to put that white ink after we ink up the pad really well on IOD's stamp, Kindest Regards. This is from last year's, I believe it was their summer release. This is a great, like a background stamp. Who cares what the words say? It's just a really pretty script. It makes a great backdrop for pretty much anything. So again, had the knob come off, this would have been super easy. The lettering would have been super straight, but it didn't. So I did my best. It's a little wonky, but fortunately, because the way the script is written, didn't matter. You can tell now, but once we get through it, this piece, you're not going to be able to tell that it's got any kind of shift in the print. It's almost straight. I mean, I can usually see a straight line, and I knew that was off a little, but it wasn't ridiculous enough that I felt like I had to wipe it back or repaint it and try again. And here we're just pressing it on. I wanted to fill in as much of that front space as I could. I really wanted it to be a pretty backdrop for the front of this box. And this is not going to be a bread box when we're done with it, just so you guys know. We're going to do something kind of cool with it. Heat setting the ink with the heat gun. Then I fight to get it open. Then I want to put something just real subtle on that front door flap, and I want to use the brand new spring release from this year. It's the the IOD Shade and Song. It's got all these beautiful birds, all these branches. The branches have all this amazing detail from all the flowers. The IOD sisters seem to be kind of on the same wavelength as me this year. My daughter is considering doing a study abroad program in Japan, so she's really exposed us to a lot of the Japanese culture. And right now, the Cherry Blossom Festival is going on in Japan, and the cherry blossoms are beautiful. And those just really caught my eye. So this project, when these stamps came out and when the molds came out, it just all seemed to kind of fall in place. Because here's the blossom mold. And you guys, this mold has beautiful details for these little blossoms, and they look just like cherry blossoms. If that's not what the sisters were going for, I don't know what it was they were going for, because this to me looks just like a cherry blossom. But this mold is just called IOD Blossoms. So we put cornstarch in the entire mold because I wasn't sure what I wanted to use. And now we're pushing I use Jovi air dry clay. We're pushing that air dry clay into the mold. And you want to make sure you really push it down deep. There's a lot of small details on this mold. And in all actuality, a mold like this normally I would do with resin, just because it's a lot simpler to get all the details. It's a lot easier to get all that clay down in there. Instead of having to fight the clay, the resin just sinks into it. But if you are going to use the clay, the IOD sisters have patented this micro rim on all of their molds, which honestly makes their molds the only molds I will do any kind of clay in. I know there's lots of different brands of molds, but this is literally the only one I will do clay with. That micro rim is worth its weight in gold, and it just really helps your castings come out so much better. So I know you can't see a ton of the detail here yet, but I was trying to show you some of the detail from those flowers. There you can kind of see it a little bit better with a little bit of that shadow and that shadow actually gave us a perfect example of why so many creators like to use the waxes and things to kind of bring out the details in these molds. The castings are really flat without kind of throwing some wax or something into it. And here we're using the Type Bond Quick and Thick to help hold that mold down. And I did let these dry. I don't typically do that, especially with the clay, because I find that if the clay warps at all when it's drying, it won't lay flat when you're going to put it on your piece. A lot of times you end up with a lot of cracking. I prefer to put my castings straight on the project and go ahead and seal them in with paint, just so that we don't have any issues with cracks. Here you're seeing me kind of compare paints, and I've got that picture of the cherry blossom down there, and isn't it beautiful? I love the colors, the cherry blossoms, the light pinks, the bright pinks, the espresso color brown for the stems is just really pretty, brings out a lot of that, pops a lot of the colors. So here you're going to see, speaking of things blooming, we're having allergy season in Phoenix, so I'm sniffy. There's espresso from Paint Couture. There's lemon peel. Then you're going to see Vera at the Ballet. And then next is going to be Autumn Sage. And last is going to be Polynesian Pink. These are all beautiful Paint Couture colors, all acrylic paints. The Paint Couture paints are also all-in-one paints. They're a primer, they're paint, and they're top coat. However, the Paint Couture paints are only rated for interior painting unless you add on their Ultra Guard, and Ultra Guard will make those paints exterior friendly. So in this case, this is going to be a fun indoor piece of decor, so I'm not worried about it being an exterior color or not. And truth be told, Fusion has beautiful paints, but their paints tend to be more geared towards furniture painting. They don't have a wide variety of colors unless you start buying the little sample sizes and you buy different versions of the different paints and then you mix them. They do have some cards you can get. I know I've got some that kind of have some recipes on them for mixing up different colors of paints. But the Paint Couture paints, they have a wider range of the rainbow. So you get lots of different greens and lots of yellows and different pinks and blues and browns and blacks and whites. There's lots of variations of whites, to be honest. I know a lot of creators will dip into like the cozy beiges and the farmhouse linen, and there's simple white and there's arctic white, and there's so many different variations of all the colors. It's not just like different shades of one color green or different shades of one color blue, which is, in my opinion, a lot of times what I see with the Fusion paints. They kind of all seem to be on the same spectrum, just different versions of the same colors. So again, beautiful paints. Fusion holds up amazing. It's one of my favorite paints to paint with, but it does limit me sometimes on what colors I'm going to use because there's just not a great variation in colors. Whereas with Paint Couture, I feel like there's a lot more. And y'all are watching me here. I'm painting, so that's why I'm just talking. I'm trying to paint it on a base coat of the Polynesian pink, and then I went back and just kind of dabbed the Vera at the Ballet into the center after doing the yellow dots in the middle. Truth be told, I wish I had done this in reverse. I wish I had painted the flowers, the Vera at the Ballet, then gone back and dabbed the Polynesian pink and tapped that out of the flowers. Because I feel like looking back now at the photos, it's funny, you don't see it. I don't know why I didn't see it when I was sitting there looking at it, but now that I'm looking at it on video, I'm like, you know, those flowers were really mostly light pink with bright pink as kind of the accent. And I'm sure y'all are wondering why this thing now has 3 holes in the back of it. I employed my husband to help me out on this one. I could have done it, just had something else going on and had him go out and drill 3 holes with Forstner bits into the back of this bread box because it's no longer going to be a bread box. It's going to be a charging station for your phones. We're all in an electronic era and everybody has a phone that needs to be charged. So I thought this was a good way to kind of hide that. I still love the kindness regards as the background. I think it just really sets the tone for the front of this. It's very feminine. It's got a very pretty, dainty look to it. And again, I'm not super thrilled with the paint now looking back. I wish I'd done it the other way. It looks fine. It's just not what I envisioned necessarily completely. May try it again. And then, of course, that Shade and Song stamp on that front flap of that bread box is so pretty. It's just a very subtle detail. And you guys, you really need to get this stamp. I have most of these in stock. Right now, I know I have the Shade and Song in stock, but I've got a lot of the other spring decor or spring release in stock. But that stamp specifically has a ton of detail. Those little tree limbs all have their own little lines and all this gorgeous detail. But anyways, guys, if y'all are interested in any of these things, check out the links below. I'm going to tag everything that I used. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends. I'm trying to grow the channel. I know I've been kind of inconsistent with the content posting, but I'm really trying to get better at it. I've got several videos that I've recorded for you guys. I'm just trying to find the time to do voiceovers without dogs barking in the background or, you know, things like that. So here's that charging cord coming through the hole. You could probably charge 2 or 3 phones in this box at one time. They're hidden away. It would be nice and pretty. You wouldn't have to look at your phone. I feel like we all have phones and cords laying everywhere. So anyways, guys, I'll see you next time.